Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial I will show you how to use the fuzzy grouping transformation in SSIS. So this is my profile. I have 8+ years of experience on Microsoft technologies, mainly in SSIS. Alright, so the agenda of today's video tutorial is how to clean data using fuzzy grouping. So you will see that the fuzzy grouping transformation will replace the bad data with the correct data using the fuzzy grouping technique. So the difference between fuzzy grouping and fuzzy lookup is that fuzzy lookup actually uses a reference table to correct the data so that it can actually read data from source, and then it can compare the source data with the reference table, and then based on the data in the reference table it can correct the data. But fuzzy grouping does not require any reference table to correct the data. It actually uses the source data itself to correct the data. So what actually it do, it actually uses the grouping technique to correct the data. For example, if 5 people type a correct word and then the 6th person typed a wrong word, so it can correct the one wrong word with the correct word because more people type the correct word. So it uses the grouping technique to correct the words. And then fuzzy grouping and fuzzy lookup, both transformation are blocking transformation. So until all data has been read from source, it won't let any data pass through the fuzzy grouping transformation. So once all data will be read from source, only then the data will flow through the fuzzy grouping transformation. So without wasting time, let's jump to the demo. Okay, so first of all, let me drop and recreate the table. So I have a table TBL country which contains some countries names. The first column is an identity column which doesn't require any input from our side, and the second column is country column of varchar type, so it contains some country names. So as of now I have inserted some country names, 9 country name into this particular table. So if you see that the first 2 country names, America and America, these are the correct names. However, there is a typo in the third name, that instead of C there is a K. So the fuzzy grouping transformation should correct this wrongly typed word America with this correct word. Okay, and then similarly if you see there are 3 names for India. The first 2 names are correct, India. However, there is a typo in the third name. So the fuzzy grouping transformation should correct this wrongly typed word with this correct word. And similarly if you see, we have 2 correct names for Australia. These are the correct names, and for the third name the A is truncated. So if you have the truncated words or the wrongly typed words for less number of records and the most of the data is correct, then you can correct those wrongly typed words or the truncated words using the fuzzy grouping transformation. So fuzzy grouping transformation will correct this particular wrong word, this wrong word, and this particular wrong word into the correct word. So let's see how we can do that using the fuzzy grouping transformation. So this is my SQL Server Data Tools 2013 that I will be using to create the SSIS package. So let me just drag and drop the data flow task into the control flow window, and then double click data flow task to configure it. And as I will be reading data from a SQL Server table, so I will be using a OLEDB source to read the data. Let me edit the properties of the OLEDB source, make a connection. So there is already a test connection here that I already created in my last example. So now the table name is TBL country. So let me just pick the table name from here, click OK. Okay, so now let me drag and drop the fuzzy grouping transformation into the data flow task, and then connect the output from the OLEDB source with the fuzzy grouping transformation. Now let's edit the properties of the fuzzy grouping transformation. So under the OLEDB connection manager, it requires a connection to a SQL Server database because it will create some temporary table or the indexes. So that's why it needs an OLEDB connection. Even if you are reading data from a flat file or Excel file and you are trying to correct the data, it requires an OLEDB connection manager so that it can it can create some temporary tables. So we are good here. It automatically took this particular OLEDB connection that was available. Now let's go to the columns. Again, under the columns we want to select the name of the column for which we want to correct the data. So in this particular case I'm going to correct the data for the country column, so I will select the country here. So the source column name is country and the output alias will be country underscore clean. And under the match type there are 2 options, fuzzy and exact. So we will use the fuzzy in this particular example, and we can leave the rest of the option as it is, and we will also let the other options as it is because we don't want to change anything. There are options like if you want to ignore case or like ignore kana type, so these are related to some Japanese words, so we will leave all the options to their default one. And now let's go to the advanced. Okay, so the similarity threshold is set to 0.80, so that it can only correct the word if it's very much similar to the other words, but for now we can set it to maybe 30 because we want to see like how the fuzzy grouping transformation will actually correct the words. And these are the token delimiters, means that it will ignore these delimiters while comparing the data between the source. The first column is key in and the second one is key out. So if the value of the key in and key out will be same, it means that it has actually corrected the data for a particular column. And then the similarity score column, it actually tells you like how much the data was similar, that was corrected. So it will actually show a value between 0 and 1. So more the value near to 1, it means that the word was very much similar, that was actually got corrected. So click OK. So now we are done with configuring the fuzzy grouping transformation, and now let's drag and drop in OLEDB destination so that we can actually insert data to a SQL Server table and see how data got corrected after the fuzzy grouping transformation. So let me create a new table here, and let me name the table as fuzzy grouping output. Okay, click OK. Navigate to mappings. So all input columns have been mapped with the destination columns. Click OK, and now you can execute the SSIS package. There were 9 rows. Those are actually passed from OLEDB source to fuzzy grouping transformation, and then it got inserted into a SQL Server table. So if you go to the SQL Server Management Studio and if you refresh the tables, you will see a fuzzy grouping output table here, and you can select data from it, and you can see that for the countries, like for America, this was the wrongly typed country. However, after the fuzzy grouping transformation, the country got corrected with the correct country, and now it's correctly typed word. Similarly for India, it was the wrongly typed word. However, after the fuzzy grouping transformation, it got corrected, and similar is the case for Australia as well. Earlier name was Australian, now it got converted to Australia, and it is the similarity count, like how much this particular word was similar to this particular word. So this is actually percentage of similarity. These are the values for key in and key out. So for example, for America, key in value was 1 for this particular record, and when this particular record got corrected, it was assigned a value 1. So it means that if all values are, so it means that all output values should be according to this particular value. And similar is the case for India as well. For India, 4 value was assigned to this particular record, and then under the output for for this record as well, 4 values assigned. It means that data was actually read from this particular record from source, and then it is actually, and this record is actually corrected as per this particular record. So now that's why the output is same. And similarly for Australia as well, the key in value was set as 7 for this particular record, and then this record is actually corrected as per this particular record, and the output is same 7 for key out for all these 3 records. So you can see that this is the correct output for all the 3 records. So guys, this is how the fuzzy grouping transformation actually works. Thank you guys for watching this particular video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button and do subscribe to our channel to see more videos on SSIS and other related technologies. Thank you so much.